My wife texted saying she was stuck in Chicago, but her location said Miami. That was the day I realized lies don't come alone.
My name is Daniel Hayes, and the day everything shifted began like any other Tuesday. I was at my desk, trying to stay awake with coffee and staring at spreadsheets when my phone buzzed. A message from my wife, Lily. Flight got delayed. I'm stuck in Chicago tonight. Chicago? That's strange. I remembered checking her itinerary that morning. She was supposed to land in Miami for a conference. She'd been talking about it all week, the meetings, the networking. I figured maybe it was a reroute or bad weather messed things up. It could be nothing, but something about the text felt too casual, too convenient. I typed back, trying to stay calm. All right, hope everything's okay. Minutes ticked by. No reply. That was unusual. Lily always texted back instantly, a picture from the airport, a joke, a complaint about the food. But this time it was just silence. A small knot started tightening in my stomach. It was more instinct than actual suspicion, but I opened the location-sharing app we sometimes used when traveling. My breath hitched. The screen showed a blue dot blinking in Miami. Her phone was in Miami, not Chicago. For a full minute, I just stared at it, frozen. The dot blinked on the map, mocking me from South Beach. Clear as day. My mind started racing. Why would she lie? Why say Chicago? Why hide that she was already in Miami? I tried to rationalize it. It had to be a mix-up, a misunderstanding. It had to be anything other than the one thought creeping into the back of my mind. I texted her again, keeping my tone as normal as possible. Everything okay? You still in Chicago? Silence. An hour passed. Still nothing. By late afternoon, the truth was clawing at me. Her itinerary said Miami, her location said Miami, her message said Chicago. The facts just didn't add up, and lies rarely travel alone. That evening, I couldn't sit still. I opened the flight tracker app. Every single flight from our city to Miami had landed on time. None had been diverted to Chicago. Not a single one mentioned delays. The knot in my stomach tightened into a painful clench. Something was seriously wrong. A part of me wanted to call her right then and there, to confront her. But another part was terrified of what she might say. Finally, with trembling fingers, I sent the message I'd been avoiding all day. Strange. Your location says Miami. Can you explain? No response. The silence felt like watching a car crash in slow motion. Minutes later, my phone buzzed, but it wasn't from Lily. It was an unknown number. The message was short. I think we need to talk. My blood ran cold. I stared at the text, my pulse pounding in my ears. I called the number. One ring, two, then a quiet, hesitant voice I recognized. It was Lily's coworker, Emily. Daniel, I'm so sorry to text you like this, she said, her voice trembling. What's going on? I asked, my voice somehow steadier than I felt. There was a long pause on the other end. Then came the sentence that shattered the world I thought I knew. Lily isn't in Chicago. She's in Miami, and she's been meeting someone privately. My chest tightened so hard it hurt to breathe. Emily, are you sure? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Yes, she replied softly. She didn't want you to know. I really didn't want to get involved, but you deserve to know the truth. I couldn't say anything. My mind was fighting to process it, to find some logical explanation, but all the pieces were falling apart too quickly. Emily continued, her voice breaking. I don't know the full story, but she's been seeing someone here. I just thought you should hear it from someone else before she tells you another lie. She apologized again before hanging up. I just sat there, phone in my hand, completely stunned. I wasn't angry. I wasn't crying. I just felt hollow. Her lie wasn't just suspicious anymore. It was deliberate. Chicago was never about a flight. It was about hiding. I drove to the bar where my best friend Mark usually unwound after work. The second I walked in, he took one look at my face and knew. Man, you look wrecked. What happened? I told him everything, the text, the location app, Emily's call. As I spoke, Mark's jaw clenched. Dude, that's not an accident. That's intentional, I mumbled. I don't want to jump to conclusions. He just shook his head. You already have the truth. You just don't want to accept it. The truth. Such a simple word, but such a violent thing to face. Later that night, I finally gathered the strength to call Lily. She answered on the third ring, her voice sounding tired, or maybe just pretending to be. "Hey, babe. Sorry, it's been a crazy night." I cut her off, my voice quiet but firm. "Are you being honest with me?" There was a long silence, then her voice tightened. "I'm not in Chicago, I'm in Miami. I didn't want to tell you yet. It's complicated. Complicated. That's the word people use when they want to avoid telling the real story. But I didn't yell. I didn't beg for an explanation. I didn't fall apart. I just said, "Lily, I need the truth, not excuses." She didn't reply. And in that silence, for the first time, a strange calm settled over me. It wasn't peace, but it was clarity. The kind of clarity you feel when all the illusions finally burn away. The next few days were a blur of painful discoveries. Quietly, carefully, I confirmed everything Emily had hinted at. Lily wasn't lonely or stranded, she was meeting someone. Her phone wasn't dead, she was ignoring my calls. And her lie about Chicago wasn't a mistake, it was a cover story. Each new piece of information hurt, but each one also freed me a little more. I didn't explode with rage. I didn't fly to Miami to confront them. I didn't write long, dramatic speeches about betrayal. Instead, I focused on protecting myself. I called a lawyer, not to attack her, but to understand my rights and options. I started separating our joint bank accounts. I changed passwords to my personal accounts. I secured everything that she no longer deserved access to. This wasn't about revenge. It was about self-respect. When she finally returned home, we sat at the dining table. The same table where we once planned weekend trips and laughed over burnt dinners. She couldn't bring herself to look at me. I looked at her calmly and said, "You lied to me." Not just once, but repeatedly. And I won't pretend it didn't break something important. Her lips trembled. I was confused. I made mistakes. I shook my head. Mistakes are forgetting a birthday. Mistakes are missing a phone call. Mistakes are spilling a drink on the carpet. Lies are not mistakes. Lies are decisions, and she had made plenty of them. "I don't know if we can fix this," I said softly. "But I know one thing for sure. I won't let your choices destroy me." For the first time, she had nothing to say. The days that followed felt strange. The house was empty, quiet. But slowly, that quiet started to feel peaceful. I poured my energy into my work. I reconnected with friends. I started getting the kind of deep sleep I hadn't had in months. I focused on rebuilding the parts of myself I had set aside for our relationship. Weeks later, I was sitting on my balcony, looking out over the city, and I felt something I hadn't felt since that first lie appeared on my phone screen. Freedom. Just then, my phone lit up with a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Daniel, hope you're doing all right." It might have been Emily or maybe someone else who knew. I replied simply, "I'm doing better than all right." The truth is liberating, and for the first time in a long, long time, that tight knot in my chest was finally gone. Because in the end, betrayal doesn't have to define you. Your response to it does, and I chose myself. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, remember you're not alone. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content about navigating life's toughest moments.